In a remote village nestled in the lush rainforests of Cameroon, the people lived in fear of the dark shadows that crept through the night. These were no ordinary shadows, for they were said to be the restless spirits of those who had met untimely and violent ends, doomed to roam the earth until they found vengeance. One such spirit went by the name of Moun, a fearsome warrior from a century ago whose life was cut short by treachery. It was whispered that Moun's rage burned so fiercely that even in death his spirit could not find peace, instead haunting the lands he had once protected. Tamo, a young hunter from the village, had grown weary of the stories and superstitions that gripped his people. A brave and headstrong youth, he scoffed at the tales of Moun's wrath, believing them to be nothing more than folklore meant to scare children. One fateful night, as the moon hung low and full in the inky sky, Tamo ventured deep into the heart of the ancient rainforest, his spear clutched tightly in his hand. He was determined to hunt the elusive bongo, a powerful forest antelope prized for its meat and hide. As the hours ticked by, the forest seemed to come alive with eerie sounds, the rustling of leaves where no wind stirred, the snapping of twigs as if crushed underfoot, and a low, guttural growl that sent shivers down Tamo's spine. But the young hunter dismissed these signs, his mind focused solely on his prey. It was then that a dark shape emerged from the shadows, towering and menacing. Tamo's eyes widened as he found himself face to face with a figure that could only be described as nightmarish. Clad in tattered robes that seemed to blend with the darkness itself, the apparition's eyes burned like twin embers, and in its hand it clutched a wicked-looking machete that dripped with a viscous, inky substance. Tamo's breath caught in his throat as he realized the terrible truth. He had stumbled upon the restless spirit of Moun himself. With a bone-chilling howl that shook the trees, Moun charged, his machete raised high. Tamo barely had time to react, his hunter's instincts kicking in as he raised his spear to parry the deadly blow. The clash of steel against wood echoed through the forest, and Tamo found himself locked in a desperate struggle for survival against a foe that seemed to defy the laws of nature. Blow after blow rained down upon the young hunter, each strike fueled by Moun's insatiable rage. Tamo's arms burned with exertion as he fought to keep the spirit at bay, his spear spinning and thrusting in a frantic dance of life and death. Just when Tamo thought his strength would fail him, a glimmer of hope appeared in the form of a strange, glowing amulet that had fallen from Moun's tattered robes. Summoning every ounce of his courage, Tamo lunged forward, snatching the amulet from the ground and clutching it tightly in his fist. A blinding flash of light erupted, and Moun let out a soul-shattering screech as his spectral form began to dissipate. Tamo shielded his eyes, watching in awe as the once fearsome spirit unraveled like a thread, its essence absorbed into the ancient amulet. As the light faded, Tamo found himself alone in the forest once more, the amulet warm and pulsing in his hand. He had emerged victorious, but at what cost? The encounter with Moun had shaken him to his core, and he knew that he could never again dismiss the tales of his people as mere superstition. Word of Tamo's harrowing ordeal spread like wildfire through the village, and he was hailed as a hero, a living testament to the power of courage and resilience in the face of the supernatural. But Tamo's trials were far from over, for the amulet he had taken from Moun was no ordinary talisman. It was a vessel, a prison for the restless spirits that roamed the land, and with its power now in his possession, Tamo found himself thrust into a world of darkness and danger unlike anything he had ever known. The elders of the village revealed to Tamo the true nature of the amulet and the burden that now rested upon his shoulders. For centuries, a secret order had guarded the amulet, using its power to capture and contain the vengeful spirits that plagued the land. Now that mantle had been passed to Tamo, and he would have to master the amulet's secrets if he hoped to keep the forces of darkness at bay. Tamo's training was arduous, his mind and body pushed to their limits as he learned to harness the amulet's power. He studied ancient texts and underwent grueling rituals, all the while honing his skills as a hunter and warrior. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, as Tamo delved deeper into the world of the supernatural, his eyes opened to the unseen realms that existed alongside the mortal plane. He learned of the various spirits that haunted the land, each with its own twisted tale of vengeance and woe. There were the Jambe, the restless souls of those who had been wrongfully accused and executed, their rage burning hotter than the fires that had consumed their bodies. The Likundu, a fearsome spirit born of a mother's anguish over the loss of her child, lured the unwary with the haunting cries of a baby, only to tear them apart with her razor-sharp talons. And then there were the Bakulu, ancient spirits of the forest that had turned their backs on the natural order, reveling in chaos and destruction. These were the most dangerous of all, their very presence a blight upon the land. As Tamo's knowledge grew, so too did his understanding of the amulet's true purpose. It was not merely a prison for wayward spirits, but a tool for restoring balance, a means of righting the wrongs that had given rise to these vengeful entities in the first place. Armed with this knowledge, Tamo embarked on a quest that would take him to the farthest reaches of Cameroon, facing down horrors that would test the limits of his courage and resolve. In the remote village of Kuma, he confronted the Jambe, a horde of spectral figures that had been terrorizing the locals, their cries for vengeance echoing through the night. With the amulet's power, Tamo was able to bind the Jambe and unravel the truth behind their restless state. A corrupt magistrate had falsely accused them of crimes they did not commit, sentencing them to die in the flames. Tamo sought out the magistrate's descendants and through a ritual of atonement helped them make amends for their ancestors' misdeeds. Only then were the Jambe able to find peace, their spirits finally laid to rest. In the southern rainforests, Tamo came face to face with the Likundu, a wailing spirit that preyed upon the grief of those who had lost children. He followed the trail of devastation, eventually uncovering the Likundu's tragic origins, a young mother whose infant had been stolen from her by slavers, her anguish so profound that it had manifested as a vengeful spirit. Through the amulet's power, Tamo was able to commune with the Likundu, soothing its rage and helping it find solace in the knowledge that its child's spirit had long since moved on to a better realm. With its torment eased, the Likundu dissipated, its wails fading into silence. But Tamo's greatest challenge came in the form of the Bakulu, ancient spirits of the forest that had turned their backs on the natural order. These entities were cunning and powerful, their very presence a blight upon the land, causing crops to wither and animals to flee in terror. Tamo's quest to confront the Bakulu led him deep into the heart of the Cameroonian rainforest, a realm where the boundaries between the physical and spiritual worlds blurred. He braved treacherous paths and faced untold dangers, all the while guided by the amulet's faint glow. At last he came upon a clearing where the twisted, gnarled forms of the Bakulu held sway, their very presence causing the surrounding vegetation to wither and die. Tamo steeled himself, calling upon the amulet's power to shield him from the Bakulu's malignant influence. What followed was a clash of wills unlike anything Tamo had ever experienced. A battle not of physical might, but of spiritual fortitude. The Bakulu unleashed a torrent of nightmarish visions and whispered temptations, trying to break Tamo's resolve and turn him against the natural order. But Tamo remained steadfast, his belief in the balance of all things unwavering. With each assault, he countered with the amulet's power, his mind and spirit shielded by its ancient magic. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the Bakulu's onslaught waned, their strength sapped by Tamo's unyielding resolve. In that moment, the amulet's power surged forth, enveloping the Bakulu in a brilliant light that purged their corrupted essences from the forest. As the light faded, Tamo found himself surrounded by a verdant paradise, the forest renewed and vibrant, its natural balance restored. The Bakulu were no more, their malign influence banished from the land. Word of Tamo's exploits spread far and wide, and he became revered as a living legend, a guardian spirit who walked among mortals. But Tamo did not seek fame or glory. His only desire was to maintain the delicate balance between the physical and spiritual realms, ensuring that the forces of darkness never again gained a foothold in the land he loved. For years, Tamo roamed the villages and forests of Cameroon, his amulet ever at the ready to confront any vengeful spirits that dared to disrupt the natural order. He became a beacon of hope and courage, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there were those who would stand against the forces of evil and chaos. And as the years passed, stories of Tamo's deeds grew into legend, his name spoken with reverence by those who knew the truth of the shadows that stalked the night. For in Cameroon, the line between myth and reality was a thin one, and Tamo's legacy would endure as a testament to the power of the human spirit, a shining example of what could be achieved when one had the courage to face the darkness head-on.